Right.
There we go.
Okay, there you go. Got it.
Awesome.
Right, should we make a start then, James? And then maybe people can
Yeah,
catch up on the recording.
yeah, sure. So thank you. I don't have any slides, but the fact that we've got the recording means that it will be kept forever, so we can share that. So that's great. So firstly, to all new coaches that are joining Spencer for the next season's under sevens, well done. Thank you. I can tell you now, it will be one of the better decisions that you make in your life. With all the elements of stress you may get, it will be completely outweighed with all the fun and enjoyment you get and the look on the kids' faces when they're having a good time. I can honestly,
yeah. That's the most thing about it, the joy of the kids and growing up and seeing them grow, especially from mini kickers, and then you go see them grow from there onwards. It's nice.
Yeah, indeed. I actually coach. I coach Katie's son, Harry, and I've had him since he was 4, I reckon, maybe 5.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The lovely buzzers.
Yeah.
Coach Cudge, as we call him.
Yeah, that's right. So, welcome and thank you. Look, what you're going to hear you've got the agenda in front of you. You're going to hear lots about the structure of the club, etc. All I want to really touch on is today that lots of support. So there is a committee, robust committee that work for the club and for all of the coaches and volunteers. So they're always available, and you'll hear more about the different roles later on today. And as I say, everybody's available either through the WhatsApp group or as you get to know us, you can contact us directly. I think really a couple of other points here is why we exist. It's fundamentally to provide a safe environment for children to enjoy football. Football's a sport. And across the club, over 300 children are doing that each week, over the course of either training or games. And that's a really important point because fundamentally we've all got the title of football coaches, me included, and the football coaching bit is great, but in some respects you're not necessarily teaching the children how to play football because they learn that on the street in their back garden with mum and dad, with their mates at the park. What you're teaching them really is to be part of a team, to be part of a unit, and to win well, lose well, and fundamentally enjoy themselves. And I think, whilst winning is great, development is best. And Lee will talk about that, no doubt, later on. But development for me is where I watch teams that play really good football or do something that they've been, the players that have been asked to do at training. Parents don't always see it, right? I'll be honest, parents don't always observe what you're doing in training and what happens on the pitch. It doesn't translate into the results either, but development for the children is fundamental. And equally, it helps, the new coaches on the group develop themselves as well. You're going to come up against different challenges and different experiences that you've probably not dealt with before, and they're mostly enjoyable. I'd say now they are mostly enjoyable, so that's all good. What else have I got here? Look, everybody's really friendly, as I sort of touched on, so you've got lots of support across the club. You know each other, which is brilliant at an age group level. So the under 7 coaches, you'll know each other. I'm sure you'll be meeting up to talk tactics and training drills and all the rest of it. But equally, as you go up throughout the age groups, under 8s, under 9s, all the way through to under 18s, all the coaches are invariably available if you've got queries, questions, whatever. So always feel free to drop a note on the group if you've got any questions.
Yeah, it's all right. My other boy, he's in the Rockets team, so he's with Cole and that. So I go and take him to training. So I'm like taking notes. All right, here we go, taking a bit of notes.
Hey, honestly,
but it's seeing them grow and seeing how they grow. Like you say in the training, the parents don't see it, but you do see them grow, and you see them. I see them mostly the training sessions on the Wednesday, and they're like chaos. It's chaos. They're all a lot tired, and then I'll go and watch sometimes a match if it's at home before mini kickers started, and I'll go, are these the same kids from Wednesday? And they're like literally game faces change and they're off. Yeah. It's nice to see that and to see the progression of them going up and everything. And so I'm like, I'll take a note of that one. I'll do that one in training.
Exactly that. It's brilliant.
It's brilliant. It is.
And it only gets better, honestly, as they get older. They get a little bit more cheeky. Banter improves.
I don't know, my boy, he's only 8 and he acts like a 15-year-old. God help me when he's 15.
So I think what I'll do in terms of finishing off, we've respected a massive element to the club, something we're really going to focus on and drill into this year as a committee, but also as a broader club. So be that respect for from the players to their fellow players, opposition, coaches, parents, referees, through to parents respecting you as a coach.
Oh, we've got some more people coming in. Here we go.
Just make sure they know it's been recorded.
Yeah. Hey, Mark. And yeah, be it parents, respect for the coaches, for the opposition, and indeed the referees, and then finally for us coaches, right? It's really important that we're almost setting the bar, the standard for others to follow. So, you know, just because
I've been here all along, just in darkness.
I don't know who said that. Said
Yeah.
it.
I think your network's a bit rubbish, Mark.
Okay, we'll carry on. Mark, can you hear us?
Oh, hold on a minute.
He's frozen. Yeah,
I'm just admitting Sam into the waiting room as well. Hello, Sam.
But apparently Lee is waiting to get in as well.
Oh, Lee.
Oh yeah, Lee's here as well. I'll never be club secretary. Don't worry.
Oh my God, Katie, you're amazing.
I've always said I'm a one-trick pony. Spoken to a lot of weaknesses.
Sam and Lee. Hi guys, just to let you know, we are recording this for people who are working on night shifts and things.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hi Lee.
Hi, mate.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm not sure what happened there.
That's all right.
That's all right.
No,
Well,
it's me being rubbish.
the agenda's in the chat.
Okay.
Still on chair, welcome.
Welcome, Sam, as well. So, look, guys, you'll get a copy of the recording so you can listen to literally the first 5 minutes of my spiel that I've just been going on about in terms of the club structure, why we exist, and all about sort of the development of the children and how that works. And my final point was really around just respect, so ensuring that we've got respect for each other. Opposition coaches, I'll tell you now, you're going to come up against coaches that you just don't agree with their behaviour, you don't agree with how they speak to their children, parents, even opposition players, even at a young age. It's always best to keep it cool, right? The one thing we don't ever want, you don't want, is you know, anything you do, the children are going to see, right? So always think about how you carry yourself, mostly for yourself, but also as almost an officer in the club as well. All right, so that's largely it from me. And finally, just say thank you guys for stepping forward. I know you're going to have a great time. I know you're going to really enjoy it. So brilliant. I think, who am I handing over to next?
Right, thank you, James. So what I'd say is if you've got any questions, so Paul is at the end of the call for a Q&A as like a new coach to new coach kind of thing. So if you think of any questions throughout the call, just tap into the chat, type it up, and I'll make sure that they get asked. And of course you can ask Paul directly yourself as well, just in case you don't want to forget. So up next is Katie. So Katie, I'm going to share my screen now. Oh no, you've got disabled shared screening.
Right,
It might be that you want to share your own screen. Or
I'll share my screen.
Sorry. That means I won't be able to show my other slides. I can email them to you quickly.
Yeah, email them over, lovely, and then I'll put them up. Right, okay. So over to finance, the dreaded finance lady. Okay, so how do I get rid of that? One moment, guys. Okay, can you all see that all right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Right, so finance, I'm going to literally walk you through, you know, what needs to be done to get paid back, expenses, etc. So any expenses you've got, if they can be emailed over to spencerswoodfinance@outlook.com. I process the expenses every Friday for payment by about the following Monday or Tuesday. Because we run under a constitution, I pay them, and then our club secretary has to authorise them. So I process them on a Friday, she authorises them over the weekend. They tend to drop in your bank account by the Monday or Tuesday of the following week. Make sure I have bank details, name, account and sort code. That's one that often gets missed off people. I'll happily pay myself, but I'd sooner pay you. So ref fees, you probably know this, but if you don't, at each game you pay half of the ref fees, and then your opponent team, they pay the other half. You pay them cash, and they're the fees there which go up in the age groups. I think it's probably quite likely there's going to be, I like to think there's going to be an increase from EBFA this year for these coaches, because this is what they've been paid now for 3 years. So I like to think, so we'll keep you posted, but as it stands at the moment, that is what's being paid per game, and you pay half. And then what you do is you then claim it back to me. So let's go to that next slide. So yeah, so that's the way the ref fees work. Courses, so I think you've probably all had emails now. So when you start, you have to do your safeguarding, first aid, and your coaching courses. And again, you pay for those, and expense them back through myself. Again, you just send over like a picture, an image basically of what you've carried out. You email it over to me, keep it simple, chuck it over, and then I'll just pay it back to you. So do make sure you get those courses done. You're probably getting a bit of a nudge off welfare on those at the moment as well. Each year you can have 2 tournaments, and they run in May and June, and again you can expense 2 tournaments back. Again, just a picture of what you book, or a picture of your bank statement, just something that just shows what you've paid basically, and I'll pay those back. If you don't do 2 tournaments, you are very welcome to do 2 friendlies and equivalent. It's sort of either or 1 tournament, 1 friendly, but they're the parameters of sort of 2 of those things, how you want to work it. I believe you can start booking them from about January, February time. Any other expenses apart from these would need authorization to claim back. Again, just PM me, pop me an email with the reason what the expense is for, and then obviously I can say yes or no whether that's agreeable by the club. As you can appreciate, we do have to keep a financial model in place here, so we don't overspend what we're getting against income coming in from the parents. But there is often reasons why other things do need to be expensed. So again, just email me and ask. All expenses for the year have to be into me by the 15th of June, and you can claim them as you want to claim them. There's some coaches who literally bank up their ref fees, and they just do 1 claim at the end of the year. Some people put in a claim every couple of 3 months. It's really up to you, however you want to do them. Okay, with the just going back to the ref fees, one thing I did actually forget to mention on there is I will send out after this for everybody an Excel spreadsheet for you to fill in for the ref fees, which literally is the day and each one you claimed. But it's absolutely no worries if you're not an Excel person. Again, I'm not precious about it. Just an email to me saying 22 games between such and such at this is absolutely fine. I don't want it to be onerous for people. Some people are comfortable in Excel and it's something they do, and other people, but just something basic which tells me what you need to claim. So coming on to kit, so you're probably seen in the document here. So this is the kit that the club allows you that you're in a position to expense back. So everybody gets a new kit every 2 years. If you have a new team member come in season, which often happens, you do order them a new kit. Every child that comes into the club has a new kit. So generally every 2 years you'll be doing it about now, ordering your kit, and then the in-between year you do top up. Again, that's if there's new people coming in, if somebody's outgrown a kit. Socks, there's some that do tend to need replacing. What we don't replace is things like lost kit, etc., and that's something that the parent can just purchase back through the parent shop. I don't know whether you're aware, I didn't find out till I was in the club for a few years, but actually there's on the website for Penville, in our portal, you've got the club access. There's also parents, and actually it's quite nice because some people, children want to buy something that we don't provide. They make nice Christmas gifts and that, and everything is in the club shop. So that's basically the list. That's every 2 years. Footballs, again, as they're needed. We do just look at each year how many people are buying of everything, obviously with things like footballs. And then, you know, that's the rest of the list there of things that can be purchased. Again, the coaches again can be tend to be every 2 years, but again, if you get a new coach in the year in between, then they're ordered the kit. And then lastly, and I'm going to put this slide, but it's transpiring tonight, we've got some issues with Pendle, so I'm actually going to have to change these work instructions. But when you order your kit, when everything's gone into your basket, the important thing is that you request a quote and not place order. If you press place order, you will have to pay for it yourselves. So you need to request the quote. To the point of when you request the quote, you will then get an order acknowledgement come to you. If you can forward that over to me, and then I'll authorise it and get the invoice paid. Point 4 here was what Pendle was supposed to be doing for us, but it hasn't worked, which is a shame, because we wrote these work instructions, of which Pendle checked them and said that's how they'd work, but nothing's coming to me. So I'll change those. So ignore point 4 here. When you place your order, you'll get an order acknowledgement, and just forward that over to the finance email for me to authorise. With regards to kit, our main supplier is Pendle, who, you know, we work with them, and nearly all of our kit comes through them. Kit, balls, etc., etc. Generally, the coaches are very, very happy with them, so that is our preferred route. That, you know, everybody gets the kit from there. If there's something Pendle can't provide, like for example last year we had a goalkeeper had issues with his wrist, so we had to go to another supplier. So I let the parent claim that back for some special, you know, goalkeeper gloves for him. So really, we are only looking that if you move away from Pendle, it really is for a reason of something that Pendle can't provide. And again, if you do use another supplier, it's the same process. You just email me what you want to purchase for authorization. That's it on finance.
Brilliant.
Thank you, Katie. That's amazing. So
is there any questions?
Sorry,
is there any questions?
No, just one point from me actually,
yeah.
And that was brilliant. As a coach, the one thing that you need to look at, and I know you will, but look after your equipment like it's your own, particularly footballs, because the kids will get very excited and they'll smash them all over the place, particularly things like tournaments, or when you're at a particularly busy ground, if you're playing, like for instance Pinewood or Ascot, there's lots of teams going on, lots of games going on, and the kids will knock the balls, and all of a sudden you'll go, I had 10 balls, now I've got 7, the next week I've got 3, and now I've got 1. So just keep an eye on them, and write your team's name on the ball as well, with a Sharpie. That's a good tip that I got given, because balls are expensive, and we just do need to look after them as much as we can. So that would be my only other tip, actually, Katie, on everything you said.
Tip.
Look after those balls. Look after those balls. So that good.
cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw my slides, Katie, or I can just voice them over. I don't necessarily need them, I don't think. But my bit is really quick, to be honest with you. It's just about kind of what happens in season. So as you know, I'm the registration secretary at the moment, and I work with Katie a lot across registration. And Rachel's going to support for in-season transfers as well with us. And basically, if you have a new sign up and it's mid-season, just contact me, because there will be a separate link for the new player to register. Ideally, I wouldn't get a request Friday afternoon that is so desperate for them to then play on Saturday. I've done it, I have made it happen, but it's really stressful and it ruins my Friday night. So I'd rather have it at least a week's notice, really, to be able to do an in-season registration, and then we'll let you know, talk you through that. We do have a waiting list, and we do have a training only ethos. So what happens is sometimes we'll get players and you don't have space for them to play. You don't want a rota, you've got too many subs, absolutely fine. But we do encourage teams to take players on for training only. And I would say that's probably one of the best things you can do to secure succession planning for your team and to safeguard it for the future. Because obviously every 2 years you add 2 players until you reach 11 aside. And I do think the best way to do that and to make sure that you're getting players who more or less know how to play is that you're actually looking after them through a training only mechanism. Obviously, you don't want too many training onlys, but just be aware we can waitlist people, but very rarely does the waiting list work because obviously they want to play. So they're going to go and find a team.
It's the best way as well when they're training with you. They get to know them kids as well, even though they're not playing. And you've got your strong team already as it's coming up.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think I just love training only. I'm always trying to encourage coaches, and sometimes it's quite helpful to have extra players at training only, so you can do more like 5-a-side games and things like that. So yeah,
it's nice for the parents as well, because some parents don't actually want to commit to the whole games, but also it's nice for their children just a 1 night a week go and train. That's just done as pay as you play, and again, you just let us know, we send you a link, but they just pay. They just come along and pay on the night, basically.
So don't expect anyone we waitlist to be waiting with bated breath for your call up, basically. Is kind of what I'm saying is it won't happen. Training only is highly encouraged and a nice facility. I think next up is...
Can I just quickly add one thing? Sorry. In year is from the 1st of September to the 31st of March. After the 31st of March, nobody can go into EBFA until the new season starts.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Thank you. And we have the fees will drop off. So like the first couple of months it is full fees because it's full whack really, but then we start to have like the fees will drop off and get lower. But we'll let you know what they are on a case by case. We had about 30 in-season signings. 30, Katie, about 30.
Yeah, 30, just over 30. January went crazy.
Yeah, so do expect me. And Naomi Stone is running that side of things now, so do expect Naomi to be knocking on your doors at different points of the year with queries. I think the next up is Kat about welfare.
Thank you. I've also got a couple of slides on procurement. Katie,
I sent an email over to you from the...
Oh, right, sorry. As I said,
I did it whilst you were chatting. So...
I wouldn't make a very good secretary, would I? Right, okay. Has it come to the finance one or my one, James?
Both. I sent it to both business support and your finance one. So hopefully it's gone through.
Here we go.
I'm sure we can share it from this end if not.
Or the other option is if you know how to disable screen sharing.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I can work that out. Hold on a minute. I think that's quite simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
If that would take time, we could get Lee to do Club Ethos and then Kat with her procurement, just to take the pressure off Paul Katie.
Here we go. I've got.
Oh, you've got it.
I've got it.
Okay, fine.
Got it. Looking lovely, Kat. Looking lovely. God, you've done a logo and everything. I feel like I've really let myself down.
Oh, please, Kate. I didn't even have slides.
The pressure's on Katie.
I know, just my system's just waking itself up.
Do you think we could do Club Ethos? I guess. So then it.
Yeah.
Lee,
Yeah,
go
for it.
You want to do your bit now, Lee, and then we'll take the pressure off Katie to find the slides.
Yeah, no worries.
Club Ethos, Lee.
Club Ethos. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
The screen's gone blank. Yeah, so just I've been at the club now for 17 years. I think it has been 16 years. My eldest son started at mini kickers, and then we went up through there. So yes, I've been through the whole change at the club. We seem to have stayed as a village club where we're inclusive. So we don't turn children away. We try to give everyone equal playing time, and that's always what kind of the ethos we inherited. Then we rewrote it, and that's still kind of the key thing in there. And for me, again, for those of you that don't know me, I work at Reading Football Club. I am a coach. Been there 12, 13 years now as well. So I've seen the horrible side of football where you do get players that aren't good enough, that you have to get rid of because they're not good enough, but then they come back and haunt you because they turn out to be better than the ones you've got sometimes. So certainly at grassroots level, it's all about the children playing with their friends. And that's what I think that's what the club do really well. We encourage everyone and we do include everyone.
Any top tips, Lee, for the guys in their first season?
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
just again, I say this to my coaches that work for me. It's like, just remember they're children. Just let them enjoy it. Let them play. Don't kind of try and put too much pressure on them, because again, I've had it in my Spencer's Wood team when I started. There's a lot of outside pressure from a couple of parents, and the children used to come up to me and say that they didn't want to play football anymore. How do I tell my dad I don't want to play? And yeah, that was an uncomfortable conversation. So just let them be children. They're going to make mistakes. Just try and get them to learn from it.
They're learning all the time. They're kids. They're bound to learn. And if they lose, it's a learning curve for them. That's how I've always told my oldest when he plays it. You lose a game, it's a learning curve. You come back stronger and beat them next time.
Yeah,
I
found it.
You can be winning one game, and the next time they'll come back and beat you. So that's how it is with games, and you just enjoy it. As long as you're enjoying it, that's the main thing.
Yeah, and like I said, kids kids and coaches. I've learnt more from defeats and draws than I have from the team going out winning 7, 8, 9, 10-0, which we've been on the receiving side of that. It's not very nice.
No, it's not nice, but
it happens. It does happen.
Yeah, that team that wins 9 times is going to get complacent. It's not going to learn anything. Where the ones who lose or draw, they're going to learn a lot more because they've got the fire to beat them, to get more, and just enjoy it. And as long as you're there enjoying it, that's why I've joined it, and seeing the kids' smiles on their faces after each game, training with them. It's just, it's nice. It's lovely.
Yeah, like I said, it's nice to win, but at the end of the day, you'd rather see someone that you've had come along that's never kicked a football before, just come to training only, and 3-4 years down the line, one of your better players. And that's credit to you as a coach and your team, friendliness with the team and inclusivity.
It's like credit to Cole with the Rockets. My oldest, he was never really the best football player, but seeing him grow and everything, he's like now one of the best. He's brick wall in defence now. He can't. We call him. He can't stop the rock, and he's just a wall of power with them all. And it's just amazing how he's grown with Cole and that, and teaching him. And it's like, that's how I want to do it with my kids in the new season.
Yeah,
just let them grow and see them develop.
And try not to pigeonhole them into positions as well. They all want to go up front. They all want to be midfield. If you rotate it every week, so they learn how other positions play. I think that's really important as well. And we try to do that at, sort of in the academy as well. We try to rotate positions just so they learn.
Yeah, the best way to see how they learn, see how all different positions play. I'm a bit shocked with my youngest. He wants to be in goal. He's adamant he wants to be in goal, and he's only small. And I'm going, really?
Yeah, he'll grow into it.
No, he'll grow. But yeah, he's lethal one. But yeah, now he wants to go out pitch, so we'll just rotate them round and just let them play and enjoy it.
Yeah. And that's the main thing. Like I said, it's just enjoyment, and like I said, you've got to enjoy it as much as they have. I know you're gonna have bad days. You're gonna have the kids not listening and whatever else. But just remember, they are 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old.
Oh, we have it at home all the time on my two, so they never listen to me. So I'm used to that.
Lee, you made a comment there that I thought was really important. It's a really important comment for the coaches, because having been through this myself a little bit more recently than your good self, but the example that Simon gave about Carl's team and his boy is that your weak players sometimes at mini kickers and under sixes will grow and develop and become some of your strong.
100%.
And you know, I won't name names, but Katie will have seen that in the Buzzards team. There he is.
Thank you.
Hello.
Oh, totally. It's just something. Yeah, they all grow in different ways. And they have. Yeah, absolutely.
And even like physical stature changes. You know, they get wider, they get taller, they get. You know, they actually grow. All of these attributes will happen, but they will develop. And so, yeah, I suppose what I'm saying here, and it's really following on from Lee's point, is like don't write anyone off, because
No, 100% never do that.
No, never do. Yeah.
you never know what might just come down. And age, another point to note. I'm sorry, I'm sort of stealing this a little bit, but
Right.
children's date of birth, right? If you've got a child that's born sort of September, October, November time, they're going to be more mature at 6, 7, and 8, 9, 10 than a child born in August. So that's just something to be conscious of as well. Like, you know, not asking you to be psychologists, but it is something to be conscious of, you know, that they are potentially 9 months in terms of development behind their teammates. So it's just something to be aware of. But yeah, that's it. Well, I mean,
Yeah. But no, like I said, the biggest thing for me was, and I remember sitting down with Warren, and he said, just go and enjoy it. Like I said, I know there is times when it's easier said than done, when it's hammering down with rain and you're trekking through mud and you've got kids moaning they're cold and you're losing. But actually, you know what? They forget about the result as soon as you've left that field.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant, thank you, Lee. And I think, yeah, I think remembering their children and remembering they're someone's child leads us nicely onto welfare.
Right. Here we go.
There we go. Thank you. So,
Sorry, Kat, let me go back one.
thanks. So we'll do a little bit on procurement, but I'm conscious of not just repeating what Katie said.
Sorry, I'm going to share the screen now.
That's all right.
You can see your screen, you can see your email.
Yeah, I'm just getting it. Hold on.
Oh, there you go. Cool.
Oh, there we go, Kat. Right, over to you.
Just waiting for the screen to load. I'm just
There we go.
the files at the minute. Just waiting for the presentation to come up. I can see your folders.
Your screen is sharing, it's telling me.
You're sharing your Explorer, Windows Explorer at the moment. Is it on the other screen, or have you just got?
No, it's up in front of me. You're sharing your screen, it's saying. It should be okay. Let me try it again.
There you go. Yeah.
So from a procurement perspective, I just want to cover it really quickly, but I've put the link on there. So if you're ordering kit, you can go into the club shop. And Katie alluded to it earlier, there's a manager section and a parents and players section. So as coaches, you can go and order from the managers section, and there's a discounted rate on there. It's subsidised rate that we get as a club. And there's the parents and players section, which is, as it says, for parents and players. Please, can all of you read the work instructions and policy for ordering kit? There's a lot of new things that we've developed over the last year, and as Katie said, there's a few bits that aren't working quite right, and we're just going to work through it. But we've changed it from being one person, me, ordering for the last 3 years for everybody, to moving it to coaches ordering, which is going to make it a lot easier from a committee perspective, and just because you'll get things a lot quicker when you're ordering it yourself. But we just need to get the process right, and we'll work on it with you guys. so I won't go through all of the instructions there, but that's what it looks like when you go on to order. And as Katie said, every 2 years, all players get new kit. Next slide, please, Katie.
There we go.
Thank you. So on the right hand side is all the kit that you can order, plus for the coaches you get a navy t-shirt with the initials on and club badge on. You can get a summer jacket or a tracksuit top, not one of each, and a winter thermal jacket as well, which are very good at keeping you warm in the very cold months. Always ask for authorization beforehand. It just makes life so much quicker for Katie to be able to authorize things when it does go through. And also it's a bit clunky with Pendle. So yeah, it's just come to Katie or me if you need any support. Next. Thank you. We also order trophies and Christmas gifts. So every June there's a trophy presentation day, and the mini kickers will receive a medal. There's special trophies, players player, club person, most improved, 5 years and 10-year awards. And Christmas gifts, a selection pack, but we've also had in the past little mini footballs, hats that have got the sponsor, the Spencer's Wood logo on the top, tickets for Reading games. So we try to mix it up each year. Okay, that's it, I think, for all the procurement stuff. So then welfare. So I'm wearing 2 hats at the moment, dropping the procurement hat to support on the welfare side, and Joe is our lead. So our faces are up there so that if you see us, you can come and say hello when you're out playing the games. There are club documents. I've put the link in so you can easily find those, but that includes the club ethos, code of conduct, constitution and complaints policy. So if a coach, a parent or a player has any welfare concern, just come and speak to Joe or myself or James or Carrie, who's our new vice chair. And Lee's already spoken about the club ethos, so I won't go on about that. But you know, what we really wanted to get across is it's not about the perceived ability of a footballer, especially looking at these really young age children. You know, we're really making it an inclusive club for all people to come and play. And it's all down to the fun and getting everybody playing. So yeah, that's it really. Next.
Sorry, Kat.
That's all right. Training requirements, I think we've already mentioned it earlier. So the FA DBS, FA safeguarding, FA first aid.
Level 1.
Yeah, they need their coaching as well.
One coaching, yeah.
Lovely. Next one, Kat.
And that's, so it's the code of conduct, but just for these slides to be available to everybody afterwards, it's really important that people understand the rules, be it the young players or the parents that are stood on the sidelines. It goes back to what James said at the very beginning, which is the respect. You know, a lot of things could be avoided of getting to welfare or getting to chair if they're dealt with in an appropriate way at the time. And that just apologies on the sidelines again. So yeah, just make yourselves familiar, please, with the code of conduct, and come again, speak to Joe and I if you want to talk about any welfare concerns. I think that's it.
Sorry,
just to add, those code of conducts and everything, guys, are all on the website as well.
yeah, and everybody signs up to it upon registration as well. Whether they read it or not is another matter. Everybody is actually signing up to it. Just on you know, code of conduct, respect. There is a rise across grassroots football in well, basically just unwarranted, not nice behaviour, be it from supporters, coaches. As I sort of touched on earlier, you might have read in the press last year there were a couple of leagues that were actually cancelled for weekends across the country. It is something, as I say, we are going to be really hot on. We had a few instances. I'm pleased to say, on the whole, we're a very good club in terms of our respect for referees and opposition players and coaches and parents, but it does happen from time to time. So anything we can do to take the sting out of the situation is what we should be looking to do. Equally, speed is of the essence. If you're involved in a situation during a game, training session with a parent, collect evidence, whatever evidence you can collect, and make any of the welfare officers or member of the committee, if they're not available, aware as soon as possible. The sooner we know, the quicker we can act upon it. And to put into context, I observed 2 or 3 incidents last year myself where by the time I'd got home, I'd had an email from the opposing welfare officer, the opposing team's welfare officer, to talk about how their club's experience at Spencer Wood match was not very nice. Interestingly, the take on that individual opposition coach was absolutely not what happened. It was almost like he knew that what he'd done was wrong, and he's reached out to his welfare officer to make up some form of story to try and level it with us. Fortunately, all those got resolved in the correct and appropriate manner, but speed is the essence of these sort of things, particularly with parents as well. If you've got any parent issues, please, it's a lot, as Pat said, just to repeat what Pat said, it's a lot easier for us to deal with stuff when we know about it sooner. It's a lot worse when it's got to the FA and we get a complaint through from the FA, and then we've got to go through a whole process. So good. Sorry.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. So the last bit of our segment is Paul. So this time last year, Paul was in the same position as you. He was a brand new coach and had questions. So I always like this bit because I think it's nice to see Paul come back. Thank you, Paul, for coming back and joining the call. The rest of you remember it when I ask you next year to come and do the same thing. So you guys, what questions have you got for Paul now that he's done his first season as a Spencer Wood coach?
How did you get on with your first year, Paul?
Yeah, evening all. So why don't I give a little overview of my first year, the kind of highs and lows of the first year, and maybe that'll spark some questions or not. But so I guess when I came into it, I know the kind of the latest cohort is probably a lot more experienced through mini kickers or other coaching. You guys have definitely done more than I did when I came in. So myself and Andrew, who's doing the Stingrays, were pretty green when we came in. So we learned a lot quite quickly on, and just I guess a few of those kind of pointers I would kind of go back to, or wish I had done differently potentially, was I guess to start with is lay out with the parents on day one how it's going to be, what the vision is, how it's going to work, because you're not going to please them all. There'll be some that want to win every game and think the best player should play all the minutes. There'll be some that completely think the opposite, and you won't please all of them all of the time. So you're much better off on day one saying, this is how we're going to run it, just so you know. And if you've got any problems with that, then say now, but this is the way it's going to be, and kind of lay that out. We didn't probably do that until further on in the season when we're a bit more confident to do so. But I think looking back, I'd have done that probably day one. And there's been a couple of times, honestly, where I've had parents come up mid-game to complain about stuff. So you will end up probably having a few difficult conversations, preferably after the game. But just, I guess I wasn't really necessarily expecting that. But that's just, it doesn't happen very often. But it's just something to think about, and kind of how you react to it is to, like probably James say, to stay calm. You kind of talk about it at the appropriate time, and you put the kid first. Because so I think it's been said, we've done it all very evenly. So with 8 players, we rotated them around 5 on at a time, 25 minutes per game per player. And so that's run really evenly. There is a cup competition that runs on side, so none of it is competitive, although the cup competition does get out to a knockout phase. So by default, there's probably a slightly competitive edge there to a non-competitive competition. So we did start actually playing a slightly stronger team in the kind of semi-final and the final. And that was our kind, but we informed everyone up front that was what we're doing and why. And I think we got general support that was the right decision. We were still playing, everyone got a minimum of 20 minutes at least in those games. So we did that. Training wise, I found that the hardest, to be honest. We've had a group of kids who know each other really well. They go to school together. We're really lax on behaviour to start with, but like, are there any little kids? It's fine. It's all about having fun. It quickly boiled over, probably 3-4 months into it. We were like, crap, we need to we should have been tougher from the start and actually said, here's our guidelines, here's the guardrails of how we want to operate. And if it goes beyond that, here's the consequences, whether it's timeout, leading up to actually you can't play in the game if you keep kicking people or fight it or whatever it might be. It does happen from time to time. So that's another one I would kind of call out to say, look, just lay out your rules early on, stick to them, minute timeout if people aren't behaving, etc. I think it really helps, probably as any parent or teacher would tell you. If you do that from the start, then you're going to get a much better result at the end. One of the harder things we have with no one to go and goal. So without a goalkeeper, it becomes quite hard. So you end up rotating a player every quarter. So you've got 4 quarters, 10 minutes each. Every quarter, someone goes in goal. So there's a mad scramble. You've got to take the top off. You've got to put the gloves on. Putting gloves on kids' hands when there's like 4 fingers in one finger hole is tough. But and then that player that week will have 10 minutes in goal and only 15 on pitch. And again, some parents won't like that, especially if you're winning and they're not touching the ball. But if you're lucky enough to have a goalkeeper, that's great. Obviously, you still want to rotate and let them on pitch, but it's definitely helpful to have someone who's keen to go in goal, I think, at least. But that's just pot luck. What else do we do? We do things like having a spreadsheet is really key. So to make sure it is all even, you plan it out. So your Friday nights do become who we're playing, who has played last week, who went in goal, make sure that goes in. So I didn't necessarily envisage my Friday night sitting there with a beer and a spreadsheet thinking, well, he's going to go in goal or he's not in this week. And then someone might not turn up and then you're having to scramble to make sure that all happens. So to keep a track on things, I think it's really important to be able to look back and say, well, actually, who have man of the match last week? Because we have man of the match and it's not the best player, it's the best attitude, etc. But obviously you kind of end up rotating that round at under 7s. You don't want the same person winning. So everyone will get their turn, but you're not going to remember it unless you keep a note of all this stuff. So another thing to kind of just keep in mind, that keep a note of it. What else? End of season tournaments are great fun. The best ones do book up really early, so we missed out. So there'd be a good chat on the thing about what the best tournaments to enter. We kind of left it a bit late for a few of them, and they were already booked out really early. So when they come out, it's best to get on those pretty early. But yeah, really good fun for the kids. They absolutely love it. They're playing all the time, and that's really good. So I think that's it. I think mainly just keep talking to the parents. Like I say, probably actually the other thing was training. We kind of turned up to training and thought we'd wing it for the first bit. That doesn't work very well. You kind of need to actually put a bit of effort in beforehand and think, okay, just 5 minutes warm up, then we're going to do this activity before you get to the game, because every kid wants to play the game. They don't care about the rest of it, but that doesn't help them. So getting some thought into actually what activities work, learn from all the other coaches who will tell you what the best activities are for the kids, and then going with a plan, and that just makes training a lot easier. Winging it didn't work very well. So yeah, that's probably it, I think. But yeah, it's great fun. We really enjoyed it. Probably slightly more time consuming than I thought, but definitely more rewarding than I thought as well. So it definitely balances out. So all in all, we had a good time. That's it. No slides, unfortunately, for me. So it's,
No, that was brilliant. That's fantastic.
Really good, really good.
Are there any questions for Paul? Or
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question. Actually, first, I'd like to ask Paul about his. I'd like to ask Paul about his mentor and inspiration from mini kickers.
Yeah, I've got it all from you, Mark. That's what it is.
That's it. Yeah. No, but I was going to ask more, like, because we haven't really had a chance to do like the sub situation yet. So, do you only ever do it at the quarters, or have you been doing it during the game as well?
We only do it at the quarters, so we plan it out to know who's going off and who's coming on. Ideally, you kind of do a maximum of. Actually, sometimes we have rotated it in the middle of the game if we have to. Ideally, you do it. You do it at the in between the quarter. If you do too many at once, you get to the point where no one knows really where they're playing. I mean, at the beginning, no one does anyway. Eventually, you get people to say, "You're defender, you're forward." We ended up doing a kind of pyramid. So you had one forward, a left, a right, and a defender. But it does take a little bit of kind of getting used to it when you're doing the subs, that they actually know on and they know what the right hand side of the pitch actually is when you say go on the right side and things like that. But yeah, we tended to do it at the break rather than mid game, because it does become a bit more chaotic.
Yeah, I think we had a practice game last week or the week before, and that was one of the things we were like, who was where? Who was this position? Who was that position? We're subbing and we're trying to, so I think that's for your nice little spreadsheet. I think I'm using that.
Yeah, happy to share it out actually, because I've obviously built up the spreadsheet and kind of worked out how it works and kind of linking in. You've kind of got you kind of laid out who's coming off and on and that kind of stuff. So yeah, happy to share it just to kind of keep a track of like who scored the goals, who's been in goal, who's how many minutes they've had in goal, how many minutes they've had on the pitch, all that kind of stuff. Saves you building it. I'm happy just to share it out and you'll just add it in. So I'll ping that round to the group.
Drop me a message. Brilliant.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, we'll do. No worries.
Yeah, I used to have a little notepad that I used to carry around me that I used to keep track of like where you're playing and like certainly when I was younger with substitutes and position wise. That always helped me, especially when they were rotating. So no, it's a good idea, those.
I just wanted to, I want to commend Paul actually and Andrew on a great first year. What a fantastic year. Made it to the cup final as well. Fantastic. And your summary of the year and the hints and tips was brilliant. So particularly the spreadsheet, honestly, I missed that. I forgot to mention that, but you absolutely, and Lee's just sort of just said how he used it. It is the best thing because what you will start to build up, and I've got every single season that I've been a manager, I've got all of the data. So I know goals, when they scored them, how many minutes they had. I'm a bit of an Excel junkie, so started doing all sorts of charts with it to make sure that there was equal game time and all the rest of it. So, but Paul, that's a brilliant tip. And as Lee said, if Excel's not your thing, then definitely have a little pen and pad. And also training plans. It's a challenge, right? There's lots of really free content available on YouTube and online, but it's quite hard. And actually, Lee, as part of our coaches development piece, I think it's something we should be working on to how we can bring coaching information to the masses. Because even now, me 5 years in, I still struggle at times to think about, well, what
the thing I found with YouTube and all the other little ones, they're great if you've got the perfect amount of players.
Yeah.
Always put your own spin on it and never copy like for like because you're trying to copy it and then you're worrying too much that you're going off track.
Yeah.
Actually, there are times when, and even I still do it at work, I have a plan put out, something happens during training and you can't totally change the focus completely.
Yeah.
Like I say, you might be working on defending, but actually the strikers might be getting the better of them or the defenders might be getting too much success. So you have to kind of rework it.
Yeah.
Otherwise they're just not getting the outcome. So yeah, the greatest plans are be prepared to change them.
Definitely. But also with the planning piece, one thing that I've seen, and I think Lee, you do this with Reading, and I'm pretty sure I've seen you do it with teams, is even though the kids are young and little, you just set out, you can tell them at the beginning, right, guys, today we're going to do this, this, and this. And before you've finished your second sentence, their question will be, are we going to play a match? Which Paul sort of
100%.
Right. You might not even finish your first word and you will get that, right? Are we going to play a match? And it's generally Harry Hollingshead. That's honestly first thing he says to me at training, are we going to play a match? And so
that's so true.
And that's
so
Hayden's boy.
But one thing I've always said as well is don't be scared. If the training isn't going how you want to do it, don't play the match. If the kids aren't doing what you want or getting the outcome that you want, don't be scared to do that same drill for 30, 40, 50 minutes. If you miss the match at the end, then obviously, yeah, they don't like it and it does get a bit frustrating, but actually they're not going to learn from a match. So if you do that session, just stick with it. Don't be scared to stop it, to carry on, even if it's not going wrong, just try a little bit more.
And Lee, just on that particular point, I think that's really good advice. Would you also say that the opposite is true, that if training is, for whatever reason, we all have bad days at work, right? We're all a little bit stressed and we turn up late for training, a little bit hassled, or the kids, end of term, kids are all going a little bit nuts. Sometimes you can go the other way, Lee. Would you agree? And go, tonight, guys,
have a match, but put conditions on it.
And put conditions on it, yeah, exactly.
Like the first time finish, or every player must touch the ball, or for every pass leading up to a goal, you get that amount of points. Don't just let them play a match.
Yeah,
because that's kind of, they can just turn up at a park and just go and do that with their mates.
Yeah, good.
One thing that we did, we actually asked the parents for help because we were struggling. We have a couple of kids were kind of not behaving very well, and that quickly escalates. And so we went to the parents and said, look, we're trying to manage 7, 8 kids here, and we can't just stop. So can you, if you see your kid not following, can you come and talk to them and put them out and help us? Because it's difficult to, if you've got 8 of them all running different directions, whacking balls and refusing to follow what you're doing. You do need a bit of help. And so once we asked them to do that, they were really helpful, and they were then pulling their kids back when needed. So yeah, that was a massive help for us as well.
Yeah, I'd try and keep parents off the training pitch as much as I can, personally, just for the fact that the kids then know actually that you're the coach. They need to do what, just like I said, I think someone touched on it earlier about like a little timeout. Just say, right, come out 2 minutes, just stand there, and while the training's going on, just have a little word with them and just say, look, can you go and try and do this now? Or give those children, they might be the ones that are actually struggling to get the drill. So give them a different focus, sort of. So say, right, what I want you to do is try and dribble around one player. That's all you've got to do. Or have a long shot, because then it focuses their mind from actually the bigger picture where everyone's trying to do something else, but you can give them an individual task within that. So if it's a defending topic you're doing, you might say to them, right, you've got to stop, or you've got to kick the ball. When you get it, just kick it out. So it gives them something to think about as well.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think we've had a couple with 6 and behavioural difficulties, and you're trying to put them time out and they just refuse. They're rolling around in the middle of the pitch on the floor, so you can't even carry on the game because it's dangerous. And so it's those instances you kind of need it, and you can't touch them, you can't pick them up or anything. I'm not going to start doing that. So you kind of need a bit of help. Yeah, I think that's not a regular occurrence before you start thinking that's what happens every training. But yeah,
but again, they are only 7 years old.
Yeah, they're very young, so yeah, it's going to happen.
Brilliant, thank you. Are there any more questions for Paul before we let you get on with your evenings? Awesome, thank you so much, everyone. So much time and volunteer time has gone into tonight. So thank you everyone. I know that Kat, if anyone wants to join the committee, even if it's just for a task, I know that Lee is running a coach development subcommittee. We're looking at doing more of a subcommittee model for next season. So if you're interested in getting involved, whether it's for a task or a role, it doesn't have to be anything big. It can even just be like to help out with bits and bobs. Let us know, and please do reach out. We are really friendly and it's very rewarding as well. But obviously you're doing a lot already, coaching. So, but yeah, do let us know. Awesome. Thank you. We'll sign off.
I've enjoyed learning a bit about football tonight. I have to say, I'm actually quite speechless. I just pinch up there. Don't stop talking. I just didn't realise so much went into it. I'm slightly overwhelmed.
It's my favourite bit.
Fair play to you all.
Really nice meeting. Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you. And Katie, are you going to share the recording? I don't know if it's going to be too big for the WhatsApp group, but I think some coaches might look at it at their leisure later. So
let me stop.